Hello guys, welcome to the Minority Reports. I'm Walter.
And I'm Chidozie.
So last year, during our recap video, the last episode of the year, we talked about how we were going to talk about Ife The Movie. So that's what we are here to do. Yes. You know, Ife The Movie is a production by the Equality Hub, executive produced by Pamela Adie, directed by Uyaiedu Ikpe-Etim, and it is a beautiful movie.
Yeah,
I finished watching it.
Very well done.
Very, very well done. I finished watching it and I felt gratified. I felt okay. If I die tomorrow,
this is its moment. Yeah.
At least I will know something that tells the story of my community is unapologetic. That is a word for the movie, an unapologetic work of art. Yeah. At least it's out there. And so yeah, as a brief overview about the movie, it talks about Ife and Adora, two ladies who meet in the first place after I guess they got to know each other online, and Adora comes over, and the movie is basically a weekend long time that they spend together, meeting, falling in love, and every other thing in between.
The thing I really liked about the movie, first of all, was how familiar the characters felt. Like, Ife and I have a lot in common, except that I can cook. But you know, Ife and I have a lot in common, and both characters seemed very familiar. Their stories were very human, and they were, you know, their stories were rendered with care.
Yes,
you could tell that the filmmakers took care to make sure that these characters weren't just frames for some themes or frames for a certain argument or whatever. They were real. They felt real to me watching them.
Because and it speaks to when somebody who is concerned about the right kind of story is telling that story. There was a sensitivity to it, even because in watching it, depending on how you feel about the issues that the movie addressed, you will find yourself hating one character or the other. But even when you find yourself doing that, you can kind of sort of understand their struggles.
Yeah,
it's sort of the movie spanned around them. They weren't just one dimensional.
Yeah,
you get, and that was what I loved about it. And
about the dialogue. The dialogue was beautiful. It was brilliant. It was witty without being overdone. It was witty without trying to impress, without coming off as stiff, in the way that you find with a lot of like Nollywood productions where they pay attention to the dialogue, it starts sounding like Shakespeare on the budget. The way they post parables is like dialogue. But the dialogue flowed. It was very organic.
It was organic
it was so well done.
You could actually see that these are the kind of things you would say. Where there was an unguardedness about it. It didn't come off like they were watching what they were saying. It felt like they were speaking not out of a script. Yeah, I especially like the moment when Ife cooked a dish of fried rice and brought out to Adora, and Adora takes a spoon and doesn't say anything, and then when she took the spoon and she was like, I like watching. It's in the little things really that thrills me, and the way she quickly like, oh my god, it's really bad. I burst out laughing because I was like,
he can't boil water to save his life.
Come on, my friend. I can make Indomie. Don't mind him. I can make Indomie. But yeah, I could.
You can make Indomie.
I found myself.
But will it be edible? Can people eat the Indomie? That's the issue.
I found myself bonding with Ife on those aspects. It was the fact that that there was one of my friends who watched the film, and he told me when he heard that it was a lesbian film, he almost didn't want to watch it because it was like, what are they going to say that I'm going to relate to it? But then he now saw it and he was like, okay, he now gets. First thing he said about it, he doesn't understand. After watching Ife, he said he didn't understand why there is like all this marginalization between gay men and lesbians.
The dichotomy between, yes.
Yeah, because essentially the struggles are the same. The stories are the same. The issues are the same. You get? And he did not know that he could feel so much kinship to the people in that movie. And it was a beautiful thing to hear.
Yes,
you know?
It
So
really was.
I have to talk about the sex scene. It was what it was. They went there. They did not care about
like it. I was screaming when I went up. I called Walter. I was like, Walter, they did it.
Okay, what's your film now? It's like he forced to come and shout in my ear. They went there.
And it was so well done. It was intimate. It was artistic.
The art was because there was it wasn't gaudy. They didn't do it in a way to make it for just to gratify.
It was sensual. It wasn't supposed to have like shock value.
No, it feels very seamless.
It was intimate. It was sensual. It happened when it was supposed to happen. It was. Listen, that was a masterclass, please. This is filming,
like, because you have to, like, everybody, it felt like everybody attached to that film, that production, knew what they were supposed to do and did it.
And the actors, you have to give props to the actors.
Their chemistry was
amazing, and I would have loved to be a fly on the wall to see just how they prepped for their scenes, because I mean, everything was effortless and organic, unlike some other productions we have seen where while the actors are supposed to be in character, you can tell that they are trying as much as possible to convince you that they are acting. So this is a role, this is not, and it's like go by. Go by.
For those of you who don't know what this is talking about, I would say it's making reference to a web series called Everything in Between.
Baby! That was also known as Baby.
That was the queer characters in that, they were caricatures.
Yeah. Particularly because they had such a beautiful, like, on paper, the lesbians in that show had the best story arc. For them to then come and be raving banshees, screaming at each other from opposite ends of a football field. Oh, baby! And that was supposed to be sensuality.
Yeah, that's
so moved. Wow.
This one, they were human beings.
Yeah.
Their chemistry was top notch. It was like when there was a humor to it too. I love humor. I love watching things that is not it's not comedy, but you can still find humor in it.
Yes.
And so there was one, I think when I made this post on Facebook, I talked about this particular line when Adora says to Ife something along the lines of, "Can I say I love you?" And Ife was like, "Yeah, we're lesbians. This is a perfect time for you to say that."
Yeah.
And I remember laughing, and I also remember it feeling very significant to me that this is a very relatable moment, because I was telling Doze earlier on when we were talking about this movie about there's always this tendency for people in the LGBT community, gay men and I suppose lesbians.
For people in the LGB community, because it's sexual and romantic in the
to sort of like there's this concern that there's a tendency for us to move very fast in relationships, in claiming love, in getting together, everything, like, whereas heterosexual people move at a more leisurely pace, there's a hyper active nature to the way our relationships move.
Tend to play
but at the same time, there are people who usually regard it with a kind of scorn, like, now, wow, today you love me. What is that now? but I have come, and I used
to... really, today. I met you 2 seconds ago, like, okay,
But, I have come to, I came to think about it, you know, like we don't have the time, the space to feel the things we feel that straight people do. Everything feels precious.
Like you need to condense it as much as possible into every moment.
You get, and so I feel that there's a level of psychological I don't know, thing to it where people just start loving and start getting together and start dating and start being in a relationship with the blink of an eye. Because I figure there isn't. We grow up not knowing that these things are possible.
Yeah.
And then when you learn that they are possible, you quickly learn that they are abominable. So I feel like there's a psychological thing to it, a psychological aspect to it that, you know, we are driven by this urgency to be together, to make the most of our relationships that we are not even supposed to have. And so people just have to start saying I love you, and people have to start moving in, and people have to start
I mean, I guess they also say because they feel it, and like you said, they feel it, and they don't feel like they have the luxury of waiting. You get? Yeah.
So when that scene played out in Ife, I laughed. I laughed, and I appreciated the truthfulness to it. You know, it's look. This film is everything.
Yes,
it's just everything. And curiously, I didn't even see that ending coming. Like, I just have to admit that I didn't know.
I suspected.
You did? I didn't get it. Also, this is not a spoiler, by the way, but I just want to point out, like, this movie makes you aware that even though we have the same struggles, there are people who have privilege.
Yeah.
You know, like, there are people who enjoy a certain kind of allowance to be themselves more than others.
Yeah, but I also felt like there was a bit. I also felt like, in thinking about that, like, I also felt like it was a bit more complex than that, because, you know, sometimes when we talk about, and that was my takeaway from the exchange between Ife and Adora. Maybe this is my privilege, I don't know, but I sort of felt that there's also this space for, like, when we talk about privilege, sometimes it's sort of like, it sort of suggests that taking up space as a queer person, there are situations where it then becomes easy. Like, if whatever the case, whatever the situation with her mom, you know, she was still brave.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
And I sort of felt like, you know, the way that privilege was invoked by, you know, Adora in the movie, it was sort of like a clutch for her not
being brave
as brave, considering that she hasn't always been without allies within her family, so to speak.
Yeah, okay. But,
so I just sort of felt like, yes, there's a space for that conversation, but in the way that it was, when she brought that up, I
know. It's
okay,
see,
girl.
Here's basically what we're saying is, you know, Ife has a loving mother. Adora has a family that expects her to live up to responsibilities. So, and there's a tendency for people to, like myself, I want to use myself as an example. I guess I can't. Even as I'm about to say what I want to say, I'm kind of realizing what this is talking about, because there's a tendency for somebody who has made the move to be out to forget how brave the person might have been because of how seemingly easy it was to assert himself in a space that he shouldn't be in. And that was what Ife, the luxury in quotes, that Ife had to be herself in ways that one might think, oh, because you have a loving parent and that is why it was easy for you to be out.
But that parents' love had to be tested.
Exactly. You can't have known.
Yeah, you can't have known if you didn't test it. So
until
it's like,
you made the decision to be out.
Yeah.
You get, and then everything starts seeming easy after you have actually been brave enough to put yourself out there. So yeah, I guess it's always contextual, I suppose.
Yes, it is.
It is.
It is.
But this movie,
it's a great
it's a movie that drives a conversation. It's a movie that makes you think about your community. It's not a movie that...
And in a way that's nuanced. So it's
very
like,
nuanced.
You know, yes, there are these bits of conversation and, you know, okay, we came off watching it with different notions about the same thing.
Yes.
Which is a testament to just how well done and how unpreachy. It was just a story about two humans, two people
being human, and
that was the incredible and beautiful thing about it. So it wasn't like the frame for any conversation. It wasn't so boxy. It wasn't, you know, any sort of thing like that. It was just a beautiful, simple, but very well done story.
I can actually see, you know, when the movie first came out, and I remember Pamela Adie had a problem with its classification as a gay romance, a gay love story. You know, she had a problem with it being labeled
that
gay.
way.
I can quite see why she would have that problem, because it is just a movie about love between two people. You get, and you know, it can feel a little bit reductive to just slap the gay on it and make it like this other people's thing, you know, that kind of thing. But it is a lovely story, and the people in it are I want to thank everybody involved in this production from the Quality Hub. You guys did an amazing job, and it's a history making. It's groundbreaking. A
story that needed to be told in the way that it should be told. Like that was incredible, and I mean there's everything to be proud of with such work.
A lot of things
it was so well
to
done.
be proud of.
So if you haven't watched Ife the Movie, it's available.
A link
for streaming
to the streaming site will be made available
with this video.
Just check it out, click it, and please go there, watch it, and tell people about it. And it is something. It is ours, and it exists. It's there now. It's beautiful.
And considering that, you know, one of our very first videos was about representation in, you know, film and media. It's like a full circle, right? Yeah. So now we have something to give as an example of how things should be done.
I thought we were going to wait 5 years. I didn't know it was going to be on our 3rd anniversary.
I know.
We were finding out.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It really is.
So, thank you guys.
That's a show for today.
That's our show for today.
Until we come your way next time.
Bye.
Bye.